You're listening to the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hi, I'm Lex,
And I'm Sam.
and we are the Bloodshed Baddies.
What is up, baddies?
What's going on?
How's it hanging?
So, what did you do this weekend, Sam?
Uh, Nothing. I'm just kidding. Me and Lex got to visit each other.
Yay! Yeah. Sam came to Nashville.
It was so much fun. It was such needed. It was like I felt rejuvenated, a new lady after sister time.
Yes. What did we do, Samantha?
Well, we went to our new favorite place in the whole entire universe, right, Lex?
What's our new favorite place in the whole entire universe?
We went to Jelly Roll's bar.
Jelly Roll opened up a new bar in downtown Nashville, and we went over and checked it out, and we had too much fun, possibly.
Never too much fun, but
But we didn't get in any trouble, but we had a great time. We also saw the most amazing band ever. Go
yes.
follow her on Instagram. Her name is Logan Lehman. She's incredible. Her band is incredible. We loved her.
Total girl crush. The first floor is like typical Nashville bar scene with like country
Honky
music
tonk.
and yep. Second floor was all like Jelly Roll's wife, Bunny, just plastered everywhere in this amazing band. Second floor
And
was like
it's all like pink and cute.
yes. And then the third floor is, if you're into it, is like all like clubbing and boom, boom, boom kind of music.
Lots of dancing on the rooftop.
Yes. And then also plug what we did on Memorial Day.
Well, Memorial Day, we rented a pool off of Swimply. We're not sponsored, but hey, Swimply, if you want to sponsor us,
You should, because I've never heard of this. And it's basically like Airbnb for pool, right?
yeah,
And it was such a cool spot. I feel like if you don't have a pool or don't know someone with a pool, check it out because it was so much fun. I had so
it
much
was a
fun that
great
day.
time. Yeah. Sam, what did
Well,
we do on Sunday night?
we watched the Eras tour.
We had a girly wine and cheese night and watched the Eras tour. It was a blast.
It was. What was your favorite part, Lex? You got to pick one.
Of the whole weekend,
Yes.
jelly rolls.
I know. Me too. That's my
Nothing
answer
will
also.
ever beat jelly rolls.
Everyone has to go to Jelly Roll's bar. And I love Jelly Roll. And we actually looked in to going to his concert because the people playing there were opening and I love Jelly Roll. But it didn't work out on our schedules, baddies. So go to his concert too.
Yeah. Jelly roll for life.
Woo, woo, woo.
Okay,
All right.
Samantha, get into your case.
I was just gonna say, all right. All right, I'm getting into it. All right, Legs. I personally have heard of this case before, and I'm pretty sure you have as well. But was looking for a good documentary to watch and came across this case. I totally forgot about the craziness behind this case. I also didn't know this part of it, but this case is actually the very first live broadcast murder trial in American history.
Oh, wow.
So, you know it's about to be wild in, but let's jump right into it. Gregg Smart was born September 4th, 1965 in Nashua, New Hampshire. He was born to William and Judith Smart. He also had two brothers, Ricky and Dean. He had a pretty idyllic childhood. They loved going on vacations together. They were a very close family unit. Gregg was on the shyer side growing up, but when he got older, he became more outgoing and fun. Gregg liked to have a good time. He loved a good party. He also wasn't like a school or college person. Schooling just wasn't for him. So after high school, Gregg went right to work. He was a softie, but also like a rocker boy. He loved heavy metal and had the nice long hair that fit perfect with it. He also dated around quite a bit and wasn't super into monogamy.
Oh, okay, Greg.
In 1986, at 21 years old, Gregg goes to a New Year's Eve party when he is introduced to a friend of a friend who is home from college for Christmas break. Her name was Pamela Bojas. Boas. Pam was born August 16th, 1967, to her parents, Linda and John. She was the second of three children and was born and raised in Miami, Florida. Her father eventually became an airplane pilot, and her mom was a stay at home mother. Because he was a pilot, he was gone a lot, and apparently Pam and her dad didn't have the best relationship. They moved to Windham, New Hampshire when Pam was in the eighth grade. She got a job at 13 at a Dairy Queen, and she went to Pinkerton Academy for high school.
At 13?
13, isn't that kind of wild?
At you said Dairy Queen?
At the Dairy Queen.
Oh, wow. That's
Different
young for a
times.
job.
Pam was also on the cheer team, class president, and student council.
Okay,
Pa-
Pam, go off.
She was an overachiever and like didn't have to try too hard to get good grades. She was assertive and outspoken, but she also was known for having a pretty wild side to her and liked to be the center of attention.
Sounds like someone else I know in high school.
What? Payne went to Florida State University and was actually a DJ at FSU's radio station where she played the kind of music she was obsessed with, heavy metal music.
Okay, okay, okay.
Anyway, Pam and Greg meet at this party. They are both fun, party people that like heavy metal. They tease each other, they're silly with each other, and they appear to be a good match to everyone. From here, they become inseparable. However, it did take quite some time on Greg's part to be official, to make it official. But
Well,
in the
because he
fall,
doesn't like monogamy, Gregory.
exactly. But in the fall of 1986, they make it official. Pam and Greg attempt to make long distance work while Pam finishes college. They talk on the phone a lot, but in 1987, Greg makes the decision to move down to Tallahassee to be with Pam.
Oh, okay.
At first, they live separately, but then they move in together. And one night, after a hard day for Pam, she comes home and Greg tells her, blow off some steam, go take a shower. And when she gets out of the shower, a diamond ring is sitting on the bathroom counter for her.
That's a way to propose, I guess. That wouldn't be my choice, but it works.
Pam and Greg make the difficult decision to return to New Hampshire to be closer to their families again. And Greg goes up first and waits for Pam to come back after she graduates in 1988. Pam really wanted to be like a human interest reporter, but finds a job in the local school district. She starts working at the media center at Winnicott High School.
A what?
Winnicott High School. Pam's basic job was like writing press releases, doing short videos, and teaching the students how to use audio visual equipment. She was also in charge of a program called Project Self Esteem, which was like a student led DARE program for freshman students at this high school.
Okay.
So she wasn't a teacher, but she was working in a school, almost like an administrative position. Her office was in the basement of the high school.
Take her down in the basement. Like, you're not often a teacher. Go down there.
Peace out. Greg starts working at his dad's company and he starts selling life insurance and is doing really well with it. He cut his hair and became like really professional and started changing into an adult. He also won Rookie of the Year at the company.
Wow.
However, it still seems like they both enjoy a good party and they throw a lot of them at the condo they share together.
Nothing wrong with that. Work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard.
Allegedly, Pam and Greg also start to have some pretty toxic fights with each other.
Oh no, that's not good.
No. I saw one story where he, like, and this is not good, Greg, spit beer in her face
The
after an argument, which is awful.
way it would be over right then and there for me.
I can't imagine. But even with the toxic fights, on May 7th, 1989, Pam and Greg get married. Pam is
Not a
21
good
years
idea.
old and Greg is 23 years old.
My God, they're babies too.
Yes. Apparently, after their honeymoon, They started drifting apart and still continue to have these pretty toxic fights.
After their honeymoon?
Yes.
So, like a week later?
Yeah, pretty shortly after.
Okay.
Almost a year later from their wedding, on May 1st, 1990, a Tuesday evening, shortly after 10 p.m., the police in Derry, New Hampshire receive multiple calls from residents saying there was a hysterical woman running door to door.
Oh, this is so terrifying.
Police arrive at the scene and find 22-year-old Pam Smart. She says her husband needs immediate medical attention. Gregg's family lived around the corner, and apparently someone called them, maybe a neighbor or something, and said that Gregg was really sick, which probably not the best thing to say. But they show up like right around the time the police do. The police go to check out the scene, and Gregg is laying down in the middle of the hallway. The officer goes to further look at him and like assess the situation. And then the officer turns to Pam and his family and tells them that Gregg is not just passed out, he is unfortunately dead.
When his parents are just standing right there.
I don't know the logistics of that one, but they're very
Okay.
nearby. They're very nearby, them and Pam.
Oh, that's so stressful.
Yes, awful. I can't imagine. There also appears to have been a struggle, and the house is completely ransacked. Jewelry is missing, clothes are everywhere and missing, drawers are pulled out, speakers are unplugged. Apparently, Pam came home, saw the place and her husband laying on the ground, and immediately ran to the neighbors to call the police.
Why would somebody come in and unplug your speakers?
From first glance, it really looked like a burglary gone wrong.
No, sir.
Upon
Nobody's unplugging your speakers during a burglary.
upon further investigation, though, there was no forced entry. The bulkhead doors to the basement from the outside were unlocked, and the door to the back was somewhat open as well. An hour after Gregg's body is found, Detective Daniel Pelletier is assigned to the case. Murder is not something normal for Derry, New Hampshire. This was the first homicide case of the year and possibly even the year before as well. So they're not used to this.
I'm gonna derail you real fast. Derry, New Hampshire reminds me of the show Derry Girls, which is not in Derry, New Hampshire. It's in Ireland, but it is so funny. If you have not watched it, you should really watch it.
What is it on?
I think probably Netflix. Yeah.
All right, we'll have to watch it.
Okay, sorry. Back to the story.
After looking around and investigating, Daniel does question if this was truly a robbery gone wrong. Why would robbers take the risk? It was a weeknight at a condo. There's a very high risk of being caught by neighbors. Also, when the police approached the body, his wedding ring was still on his finger and his wallet was still on him as well. Why
Yeah,
would the
they just
robbers take these things?
pulled out all the drawers and unplugged the speakers and left the valuables.
The police look in Gregg's truck and there's a marijuana cigarette in his car. And remember, this is early 90s. So the police are like, maybe
Oh,
it's a drug deal gone wrong.
oh my God. A marijuana cigarette. Oh no, we were drug dealing.
The neighbors also told police that they threw a lot of parties and drugs could possibly be involved. But they find no narcotics in the house. Then the medical examiner shares the results. It wasn't obvious what happened to Gregg. It kind of looked like he was hit in the head with something, but the medical examiner confirms that he was actually shot one time
What?
above his left ear by a 38 caliber gun.
They didn't know he was shot at the scene?
So it appeared to be at close range and possibly that someone maybe like held a pillow or something to not have a very big mess. So it didn't appear that it was a gunshot. There was no blood spatter or anything like that.
That's wild.
Now around 1:30 or 2 a.m., Pam's friends contact the police and they're like, Pam is wondering why you aren't talking to her. So the police go and talk to Pam.
Wait. Okay. Okay. Moving along.
Nothing. You're not gonna say anything.
Well, I don't know for sure that Pam's involved, but I'm pretty sure she's gonna end up being involved. And she calls them up and is like, "Yo, why you not asking me questions?"
Well, I think she has her friends do that, but basically, yes. She's like, why aren't they talking to me? Pam said it wasn't a normal day for her. There was a meeting she had to attend for like the school district. She called Greg around 3 to talk to him, and then she got home at about 10:30, noticed the lights were out, thought it was weird because Greg was supposed to be home, and then saw Greg in the hallway and immediately ran to the neighbors.
She didn't check on him.
That is correct.
I'm sorry. So if you walked in your house and Brandon was laying on the ground, would you just like run out?
I would immediately run right to Brandon and like turn him over, check his pulse, be like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like, freak out from there.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just confirming that I'm not the crazy one here.
People are anonymously calling in and saying that Greg had a gambling problem and was involved with someone in organized crime.
Oh,
Detectives followed this lead to Atlantic City, actually, but find out
wow.
yeah, but they find out he actually had no gambling debt, so it was a dead end.
Oh, so he just liked to gamble sometimes, but was Gucci about it.
Yes, the media goes crazy with this though, and are reporting that drugs and gambling was the reason behind Greg's murder. Again, this didn't happen in Derry, New Hampshire often, and the media is going wild.
Because there was a marijuana cigarette and he's been to Atlantic City once.
I got the giggles today.
I'm on one today.
On May 4th, 1990, the family holds the funeral for Greg and lay him to rest. After that, Pam makes her first news appearance against police advice.
So the police are like, no. And she's like, JK, gonna do it anyways.
Yeah. And there is some he said, she said about this first news appearance. So, according to the news guy who interviews her, his name is Bill Spencer. He says Pam called the news station and asked to talk to him. She said she wanted to talk to him because he never reported about the rumor of Greg's drug use, and she wanted to go on the news and clear up all the rumors about the gambling and the drug rumors to like clear her husband's name.
Okay.
So that's Bill's story. Pam, on the other hand, says that she did not call him at all. She says that Bill kept calling her in her parents' house and talking about rumors of drug and mafia involvement and told her, like, you're the only one who can clear this all up, which is why she decided to go on the news.
Well, I don't believe her since she's got her friends calling out the police being like, come talk to this lady. I think she's pretty wants to get involved in this.
But regardless of how it happened, 3 days after the funeral and just a day before her first wedding anniversary, Pam sits down with Bill Spencer for a TV interview. Pam looks very nice and put together in the interview, and they discuss the murder of her husband. At one point, Bill Spencer said that Pam told him, "You should get a video of me getting my wedding cake out of the freezer." You know how you like save a piece for your first wedding anniversary?
Yeah. But she wants that on the news.
Yeah. Bill says she was thinking like a reporter and not a mourning widow.
Which she did go to school for journalism. Um, so maybe that's just the way her brain is wired, but you still just lost your husband.
After this first appearance, Pam speaks with other members of the media, and the focus is kind of more on her and how she's dealing with things, and not necessarily like, please send in tips to help find my husband's murderer.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Police are like, what the heck? Because one, they told her not to do this, and two, she's giving out information that the police wanted to keep to their chest. Like she's going around saying it's probably a burglary gone wrong and things like that.
Oh my God. Could you imagine being these police officers? I'd want
No.
to, I would just be like, shut up.
Well, they kind of stopped telling her things, which then makes
Yeah.
her use the media more. So it's kind of this bad cycle.
Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no.
On May 14th, 1990, 13 days after the murder and like a week after their wedding anniversary, a call comes into the tip line. It's a woman that works at the local Italian restaurant. She says that she has a 15-year-old female coworker that was talking about a woman trying to have her husband murdered.
At this Italian restaurant?
The 15-year-old works at the Italian restaurant.
Yeah, but like the 15-year-old heard this woman talking about murdering her husband at the Italian restaurant? Or
Nope.
just, oh,
This 15-year-old girl's name is Cecilia Pierce. This woman, the random caller, said Cecilia was involved and knows about it. This name was familiar to police because her name came up while gathering background around the case because she was actually Pam's intern at school.
oh,
Cecilia
oh
was
no.
Cecilia was from Seabrook, New Hampshire, which according to the documentary was not a great area at the time. Cecilia wanted to be a journalist, which is how she became Pam's intern at the school. Cecilia had some pretty low self esteem, so it was a big deal to her that Pam was showing an interest in her life. The police questioned her, and for being only 15, Cecilia is pretty tight lipped and gives no information at all. Besides the really strange fact that a week before the murder, she actually stayed at Pam's condo.
Like when her husband was there?
No. Which is weird anyway, but cops are like, that's even more strange because police asked for a detailed list of who had been in Pam and Greg's condo the month before. So when they processed the scene, found DNA and fingerprints, they could like possibly rule people out or like look at certain suspects. And Pam gave a very detailed list, but Cecilia was not on it.
Oh, hmm.
So police start looking into Pam a little bit more. On June 6th, Pam invited Bill Spencer, the reporter, to her new condo she just got and gives another
Wait,
news interview.
she's got a new condo already?
Yes. However, I understand, like if your husband died in your condo, you want to get out.
Yes, and like that just feels like we're moving fast here on getting a new condo.
I feel it. June 10th, so that's June 6th. June 10th, a man walks into the police department. His name is Vance Latomy. He said a friend of his teenage son, Ralph Walsh, told him and his wife that he thinks his gun, Vance Latamy's gun, was used in the murder of Gregg Smart.
What?
So Ralph actually moved in with the Latamys after being kicked out of his home. And after hearing this from Ralph, Vance was like, there's no way. Like, it's my gun. But he goes to check his gun out because he's like, let me
Yeah.
see. And he noticed his gun was clean and he did not clean it last time he used it. So, great guy. He goes right to the police department with this gun.
He's like, I don't know.
Yep. He's like, I
Take it.
heard this was used. I didn't clean it and do your investigation and see if this was it. They examine it. And what do you know? It's a 38 caliber gun, the exact one used to shoot and murder Gregg Smart.
Wow. Who would have thunk it?
So, of course, the police sit down with Ralph. Ralph's the one who told them this information. Ralph said he heard rumors his friends, J.R. Latomy, who he lived with, Pete Randall, and Billy Flynn were involved in the murder and that Billy was bragging about it.
Are these all high school kids?
They are.
I'm sorry. She recruited a group of high school kids to kill her husband?
Well, Ralph said he asked Billy like if the rumors were true and Billy was like, "Nah." But then Ralph walked past the door because he lived there and he heard them discussing details. So he barged in and was like, I can't believe you lied to me. So Billy then told him the whole story. Ralph was like, what the heck? I cannot deal with this. So went right to JR's mom and dad and told them about it. So yay, Ralph. And yay, the dad for going to the police. So who are these boys? And why would they target Gregg? And are they connected to Pam? Well, Lex, these boys are also from Seabrook, the not so great area at the time, and their backgrounds aren't squeaky clean. They had some minor thefts and things like that. But I am sure you all guessed it. They also went to Winnacunnet High School. And Billy Flynn and J.R. Latomy were in that Project Self-Esteem that Pam was in charge of.
I don't think the way to get people's self-esteem is to have them murder your husband, but who am I?
Terrible. Cecilia was also part of this, so there's a clear connection between them all. But again, like, why?
Yeah, why?
Police get enough to get arrest warrants and search warrants for the boys' homes. But guess what? They can't find the boys.
Oh my God, what?
The boys actually had plans to run to Connecticut, but their parents got a hold of them and urged them to turn themselves in. And on June 11th, 16-year-old Billy Flynn, 17-year-old Patrick Randall, and 18-year-old J.R. Latomy were arrested.
Wow.
Later, 19-year-old Raymond Fowler, a cousin of Ralph, is also eventually arrested as well. He apparently just wanted to be a part of it to like steal things. But anyway,
Okay, cool.
Pam heard about these arrests. And remember, the police are being tight-lipped with her and they're minors, so their names aren't out there on the television. So Pam ends up finding out who was arrested because she ends up calling Billy Flynn's mother. And she's like, I just want to know if Billy knows anything. Weird.
Um, so I love when criminals are stupid for this exact reason. Because now it's pretty fucking obvious you knew that Billy was involved. Because why else would you call his mother out of everybody?
She also called the police and asked if she was in any danger herself.
Oh, come on, Pamela.
That reporter, Bill Spencer, was like, what is the connection between these people? He gets, the names, whatever. He goes to the school and walks in, and there's like a newspaper right when he walks in with a picture of Pam and two of the three boys, like right when he walks in. So he goes right to Pam's new condo. He knocks on the door and he's like, Pam, like, explain this. You're connected to them? And Pam had been so willing to do interviews before. And now she's like, I can't comment. I'm devastated by this. And like shuts the door. And then
Oh,
Bill Spencer starts to think like, well, why would she be so devastated? They found her husband's killers. What's going on here? These young boys are actually refusing to talk. Like none of them are talking, which is so wild to me. They're all
that
tight-lipped.
is impressive.
So police were like, we need a weak link. We need to crack Cecilia. She's the weak link. And
Why? Because she's a woman?
well, they're like, we need to get more information on this because there's no way we can convict them without a confession.
Yeah.
So the police start applying pressure to Cecilia, saying like they can't rule out that she wasn't an accomplice and that she would get into trouble for hindering the investigation. And Cecilia is like, sorry, I have to go to driver's ed and leaves because she's 15.
Gotta go get my license. I'm outie.
Apparently, Pam was there after she was told by Cecilia's mom that they were going in, and she waited at the police station for them to come out from this interrogation. And she was like, what happened? And she was like being all crazy and insane.
This lady is dumb as a box of freaking rocks. Thank the Jesus she is.
But later that night, Cecilia's at home and the news comes on, and they're saying they may have one more arrest in the case. And Cecilia's like, crap, that's probably me. I really am going to get in trouble.
Yes.
So she tells her mom the story, and her mom calls the police. And the following night, Cecilia sits down with the police and cooperates.
That was so smart of them to say that.
Yeah. Cecilia drops a bomb that I really don't think anyone was expecting. She tells the police that Pam, her mentor, had told her that she loved Billy Flynn, the 16-year-old boy who was arrested in Gregg's murder. Oh, Aunt Cecilia actually walked in on Billy and Pam doing it one time. So just to
Uh,
reiterate, Pamela Smart, a 22-year-old mentor working in the schools, was having an affair with an at the time 15-year-old student in her self-esteem program who is now connected with the murder of her husband.
And is telling her other 15-year-old student all about it.
Like, absolutely insane, trash, disgusting. Like, this kind of
She's
stuff
like
makes me so upset.
gossiping with her other student. It was like, oh my God, guess what? I'm in love with Billy. Who do you got a crush on?
Yes, a pedophile. Like, you are a creepy, terrible person. So, who's Billy Flynn, real quick? Billy Flynn moved from California to Seabrook, New Hampshire at the age of 12. Tragically, at 13, his dad died, and his mom had to get a
Mm,
second job and was gone a lot. You may be wondering how Pam fell in love with Billy.
yes, I am.
Well, first he was in the Project Self Esteem, and Billy had a crush on Pam right away. He's a young boy, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then, and like, honestly, I think this is so ridiculous, but the Florida Department of Citrus was having a contest for an orange juice commercial.
What?
Cecilia was like, I want to do this commercial, right? They're like in this audio thing. Um, and Pam, being the media specialist, decides, yeah, let's make a commercial and do this contest. And instead of students like making it and being in it, Pam and her friend are in it.
What?
Like you can look this up and it's so cringe. They're like wearing cave woman outfits and it's just like super bizarre if you do want to look it up. But Billy was like the photographer video guy and was responsible for the music in the commercial. Did you just look it up?
I just looked up a picture of it. What the heck?
But because Billy was also a part of this, they had to be with each other after school and off school grounds to make the commercial. And apparently that is when Pam fell in love with Billy, which again, disgusting. Apparently, she also went to his house before where they shared their first kiss, and this was Billy's first kiss ever.
Mm. Okay.
Now, I believe Ralph also told police that he was told the boys were supposed to get life insurance money out of the deal. Now, Gregg had, I believe, three different life insurance policies for a total of $140,000. And that was a lot for a young 24-year-old man of the time, especially.
Yeah, but he sold it, didn't he?
Yep, that was my literal next line. He did work in life insurance still. But it did seem like a lot for people still. But apparently the boys were to get a whooping $500 each.
What?
Nope.
I know when you're a teenager, $500 seems like a lot, but like, actually, let's look up what $500 would be in today's money. What year was this?
Early 90s. The 90s.
$1,200. $1,200 still seems pretty low for murder.
I believe she told them they could like take anything they wanted in the house as well.
Oh, wow.
Pam allegedly told these boys that Gregg liked the dog more than her and he was worth more dead than alive. But now the police have all of this information, but they don't have anything substantial to make a conviction still. So now, with Cecilia cooperating, police arrange that Cecilia, who is 16 years old now, will call Pam's office and they will wiretap the phone.
Oh my God, this is horrific. Like, I get why they're doing it, obviously, but like, I could not imagine at 16 having this pressure on me.
Just wait. Cecilia gets Pam on the call, and Pam's not budging at all. She's not talking. So then the police do something even more wild and they ask Cecilia and her mom if they could put a flippin' wiretap on her and she would go to the school and talk to Pam in person.
No, no, no.
They surprisingly agree to it.
Oh, okay.
Like wild and dangerous on so many levels. And on July 12th, Cecilia goes in and has the wire on and it malfunctions.
Oh no.
There is a backup, but the sound quality is actually terrible. However, you can hear a little bit of it. And Cecilia goes in and is like, the police are going to talk to me and I'm getting nervous. And Pam, whose husband was just murdered like 3 months ago, instead of being like, why the heck are the cops going to talk to you? What did you do? Why are you nervous? She says basically like, there are no fingerprints or hair. The boys won't be convicted of something Ralph said. So Cecilia's like, well, I'm afraid if I say I didn't know about it beforehand, it being the murder of Pam's husband, I will get in trouble. And Pam is like, just say it anyways, because you'll get in trouble if you say you did know about it. Just lie, basically.
Oh, okay.
Pam also said on the tape, are you going to put me, JR, and Billy in jail? And when Cecilia mentions JR possibly coming clean, Pam says, who are they going to believe? Me with a professional reputation or a 16-year-old in prison? So, although it isn't like an official confession, the police have enough to make an arrest.
Also, like, I thought you loved Billy, my girl.
Yes. And I believe
I
that's one
say
of the
love.
reasons why Cecilia decided to like do the wiretap and stuff because she realized, like, Pam doesn't really love Billy. On August 1st, 1991, the police go to Pam's work and they arrest her. She doesn't say a word and she's indicted on charges of accomplice to first degree murder. Of course, she tries to get out on bail, but it's not successful. Then some photographs get into the media. Pam and her friend took like bikini photos, like sexy bikini photos, and Pam had given the roll of film to 15-year-old Billy to develop. And after he developed them for her, she told him to, quote, take what you want. So Pam's looking real bad in the media right now.
I just looked at those pictures.
Yeah. Look them up. But I mean, again, she's being like such a creep because she's just like, oh, can you develop this film for me, Billy? And it's a bunch of photos of her and her friend in bikinis. That's
Take what you
disgusting.
want.
Yep. Months go by, and surprisingly, the boys are still not opening up. So the prosecutor is like, you know what? Fine. Let's charge them as adults because then they will get life in prison without the possibility of parole. And the boys become certified as adults in the case. And just like the prosecutor wanted, in January of 1991, this gets the boys ready to talk. The prosecutor offers them a plea agreement to tell their story at Pam's trial, and Billy, Pete, and JR all plead guilty to second-degree murder on January 28th, 1991.
Wow.
Before the trial started, the defense lawyer wanted a change of venue in the trial, and they were like, nah. And the judge then agreed to broadcast the case, which again, it was the very first live broadcast murder trial in America. The public obviously could not wait to hear all these insane details. On March 4th, 10 months after the murder, the trial begins, and it is a zoo. The prosecutor is obviously like, Pam planned this with the boys and Cecilia as their main witnesses, and the defense admits to the affair, but said Pam did not plot or plan the murder, and there's no physical evidence of this. JR takes the stand. He was Billy's very good friend since Billy moved to Seabrook, and he was in charge of the getaway car. He did not go into the apartment with Billy and Pete. He says that night they were supposed to use his grandmother's car, but she didn't drop the keys off. So good old Pam picked them up to go get the keys. In the car, they discussed the murder, and someone suggested using a knife because it would be quiet. But Pam was very worried about the blood spill. She had white furniture and didn't want there to be too much blood.
Stop it right now.
So
Don't
she
ruin
said
my
use a gun.
furniture.
Yep.
Also, I would have thought a gun would make more of a mess, but I guess I don't know enough about guns.
I think they must have like held the pillow there or something, like held something in front of it. JR also said Pam seemed like a hyper nervous and asked these young teenage boys how she would react or how she should react when she sees her dead husband.
What?
Yep. JR said on stand he did this to help his friend Billy and for the $500.
Oh my God.
Now, very oddly, JR and Billy were right next to each other in jail. They like were that close to each other. So the defense uses this and says they were able to conspire a story against Pam and basically that like none of it is true.
Got it.
But then Billy takes a stand and talks about the affair. While on the stand, he gets rather emotional. And he says in February of 1990, Cecilia handed him a note from Pam expressing her feelings for him. They spent all that time together working on the orange juice commercial. And then Pam said, aren't you ever going to kiss me? And that was his first kiss.
Ay,
Weeks
caramba.
later, on March 24th, Gregg is out of town and Billy and Cecilia come to her condo and watch the movie 9.5 weeks. which I've never heard of this movie, but I guess it's a pretty erotic film.
Yeah, I've never
So
heard of it either,
Pam's
but
watching this erotic film with two underage young students who go to the school she works at, which is absolutely trash, disgusting. Apparently, in this erotic film, there's like this very sexy dance that happens in it. And Pam tells Billy she wants to do that for him and leads him
ew.
upstairs, changes into lingerie, and does this dance for him, basically reenacting the scene.
No,
They have sex for the first time.
no.
Billy was a virgin, and I believe Cecilia was still downstairs. The day after they have sex, Pam brings up the idea that her husband needs to die if they want to be together.
Like, okay, we did it. Now let's kill him.
Manipulative as can be. She had been telling him that Gregg was emotionally and physically abusive, which we know their relationship did have that toxicness, but
Hmm.
there's no way to know, like, for sure, like, how much Pam was fabricating this.
Yeah.
Anyway, Billy brings up, like, why don't you just get a divorce? And she said she would lose everything, the house, the furniture, and the car. And if Billy loved her, he would do it for her. Pam knew what she was doing.
He is very manipulative.
Yep. Then planning starts to happen. Pam says it needs to be a night. She has a school board meeting, so she has an alibi. She said she'll leave the door open. She told them they need to put the dog in the basement so the dog isn't traumatized
She said that Greg loved the dog more than her. You love the dog more than Greg.
on something. Apparently, they had a plan to do it another day, but it fell through, which is when Billy decided to get his friends involved because I guess Pam was very upset by this. Like I said before, Ralph's cousin Ray got himself involved when he overheard them planning because he just wanted to steal things from the house.
Dumb boy.
But the night of the murder, the boys come in through the basement door Pam left open. They mess the house all up and they wait for Greg to come home. The boys apparently taped their fingers so they wouldn't leave prints. Billy
Wow.
hid behind the door, and when Greg walked in around 8:30 p.m., Billy jumped and grabbed his shoulders. Pete pushed Greg to the floor and they beat him up. Pete said, "Get on your knees," and asked for his wedding ring. And Greg said, "No, my wife will kill me."
Oh my God. I almost barfed when you said that.
Yeah. So they let him keep the wedding ring on, which is how the police found it on him. And then a 16-year-old Billy said, "God forgive me," and pulled the trigger, killing Gregg Smart.
Oh my
Awful.
God. I don't like this one.
No. Cecilia takes the stand then and says she was the go between for Pam and Billy and basically knew everything. She actually tried to help Billy get a gun at one point. Apparently, a coworker told her her husband kept a gun in their car and they tried to steal it, but the gun wasn't in the car. And then this is where they bring in the tapes. Now, remember, the tapes were hard to hear, so there were some transcripts of the tapes that the jurors got to read along with listening to the tapes. And then I bet you probably could guess it, but Pam does take the stand and testifies for 3 days.
3 days. Wow.
Pam says that her and Greg's marriage wasn't great and that one night he did not come home after a night out with friends and told Pam he had been with someone else. He allegedly cheated on her.
That's a reason to kill him. Like, come on, Pamela.
Pam did admit to her affair with Billy, but she said, which grinds my gears, Billy instigated it.
Oh,
And
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you're the fucking adult in this situation. It doesn't matter if he instigated it. Even if that was fucking true, which it's not. Even if it was true, you are the adult in this situation. You shut it down.
snaps, because yes, 1000%. From Pam, she said that Cecilia was the one that told her Billy had a crush, and Pam didn't even think about it until the orange juice commercial.
The orange juice commercial that fucking changed everything. Disgusting. Pamela, disgusting.
Yes, she admits to having sex with Billy, but she says it wasn't like he described it and that she never stopped loving Greg. Pam testified that days before the murder, she told Billy the affair was over, and Billy said he was going to kill himself.
Come on, Pamela.
She says she thinks he did it because she broke up with him.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Because
They
that's
crossed.
how a 17-year-old kid would get his fucking, I know it's not his teacher, but basically his teacher back.
Yep. This is gonna like be wild to you. They cross-examined Pam about the tapes, and she says she was trying to be like an undercover detective to get more information out of Cecilia because she started to think she knew more. So she was acting to get more information out of her.
Yeah. Yep. Mhm.
Pam
That's it.
Pam never got emotional on the stand. On March 22nd, with less than 3 days of deliberation, the jurors come to a decision. Pam is guilty on all accounts and is sent to New Hampshire State Prison for Women for the remainder of her life without the possibility of parole.
Thank you, Jesus.
The jurors said that the tapes were really what like led them to this conviction. Billy was given 40 years to life with the possibility of 12 years being shaved off for good behavior. And in
Ooh.
March 2015, he was paroled.
Wow. How old was he in March 2015?
Well, he was 15 in 1990.
He's 39 today.
He would have been 29. It's 2025, right?
Yeah.
Which is still so young. You still have so much life ahead of you.
Also, the difference between 17 and 30, and you spent none of those formative years in the real world. Oof.
Rough. Pete was given the same sentence and was paroled in April 2015. JR was sentenced to 30 years and was actually paroled in 2005.
Wow.
And Ray, the cousin who just wanted to rob the place, was also sentenced to 30 years and paroled in 2003. Pam, of course, tried to get an appeal and a new trial based on the fact that the tapes weren't transcribed properly and they were not good quality. Also, because the jurors weren't sequestered and could see the news, and it wasn't a fair trial since they wouldn't move the location. However, all attempts proved unsuccessful.
That's awesome.
Pamela Smart continues to talk to the media, and in 2021, she tried to get her life sentence reduced and took quote unquote blame for the murder. She was denied a reduced sentence. I guess she doubled down on the quote unquote blame in 2024, but a cousin of Gregg Smart said that she danced around it and accepted full responsibility without admitting the facts around what made her fully responsible and like didn't even mention Greg's name. So not
Oh,
fully taking responsibility. But that is the insane murder plot of Gregg Smart.
I don't think I knew most of those details of this case.
Isn't it insane?
Holy smokeronies.
Like it doesn't even sound real. It's like insane. Like I can't believe she manipulated these young kids that came from kind of like a rougher life to kill her husband and then literally thought that they were all going to get away with it, it seems like.
Yeah. She seems like she's the kind of person who thinks that her shit don't stink. I think she truly believes she would never be caught.
I agree 100%. I think she's a little delulu.
A lot, Delulu.
But yeah, super nuts and makes me grossed out that she was literally manipulating these young children and like having an affair with one.
Well, I'm glad that's over now. Uh Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure you are following us wherever you are listening to podcasts. Make sure you are downloading our episodes, giving us some reviews. We are trying to get a little bit bigger now that we got this thing under our belt, and we would love
Ooh.
your help. Also, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on the TikTok. You can find us on the YouTube. We're at Bloodshed Baddies wherever you may be.
You can also send us an email with a case suggestion or a story to bloodshedbaddies@gmail.com. Don't forget about our incredible intro music made by our incredible cousin Vinny. Tell a friend, tell the world, and tune in next week for an episode.
An episode that's not this one, a new one. Sayonara.
Thanks, Vanny.